It is opening night in the National Football League, and who better than DeVone Claybrooks to join us, a Super Bowl champion with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Grey Cup champion with the Calgary Stampeders, and he joins us here in Cowtown today. All I said, Coach, is that you've entered COVID protocol. That's all that I'm saying. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on via video today. How are things in the world of Coach DeVone Claybrooks?
Things are going pretty good. I can't complain too much. Life has been pretty blessed for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to throw the shout out there to our mutual friend Brock Daniel for lining this all up. I was looking forward to seeing you, Coach, down here today, but I understand life happens. But before we get into all the football talk, I knew that you were a business guy. I didn't know to what degree. Would you mind telling your fans across this country, both countries actually, so the businesses that you're into here in Calgary? I understand you're just thriving and killing it.
Yeah, I've been fortunate and blessed to partner with a bunch of pretty good, successful business owners in Calgary, and we have a commercial cleaning company called Ebony and Ivory Cleaning. Part owner, we have a restaurant that's opening up on 17th. It's going to be called The Porch. Is opening up actually next week, grand opening. So that'll be that's an exciting time, right beside Charlie 5 on 17th Ave. And doing some real estate. So just trying to keep busy and enjoy the downtime of not coaching and having to deal with that hectic 20-hour-a-day schedule.
Well, who knows? I'm sure you will be back into it as soon as you want to be back into it. But I don't know if I ever told you this, but Chris Jones and I got to be fast friends. And he said, don't let that crooked hat fool you now. He goes, DeVone. He goes, he's sharp. I think I might have mentioned that to you down the line. But, Coach, just with tonight, I knew that you were a Super Bowl champion, but I have to apologize. I didn't know that it was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And my good friend Dan Goodspeed was on that team. So is there a portion of you that will be at Raymond James?
Friend too.
Yeah, isn't he something?
Friend as well. Like I've known, like I remember Goodspeed and when he came to the Pig and everything, and Sask.
Well, hey, so let's talk about the Bucs for a second and the 2003 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because I was at a game where Goodspeed was the honored alumni, and I said, no offense, Goody, but you were the backup right tackle on that team. There's no other alumni in this town. He says nobody else lives here. Everybody left. You'd be one, DeVone. He said there's like 5 guys, all Stott, Brad Johnson, Rondé Barber. He goes, Gruden doesn't even come in the facility anymore because of a feud. Is there not a lot of guys settled in Tampa from that team that you recall?
Well, Sapp's there. Brooks is there from my understanding. And but it's a lot of guys that are living surrounding area, because what the Bucs did do a good job of was actually having a lot of the Florida boys on the roster. So like a lot of guys, they're not in Tampa, but they're definitely, like Jaquez Green, he's coaching high school football in Florida. So like a lot of those guys are in the area. They're just not in Tampa.
What do you remember about that Super Bowl champion team, 2003, correct, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? What a run there with Coach Dungy.
Well, it was Gruden, actually. See, there you go.
Oh, yeah, Gruden. Sorry, Coach Gruden, yeah.
But actually, one of the more unique stories and aspects was that Gruden ran our scout team quarterback. And he was like, Rich Gannon will check to this play no matter what time or anywhere on the field. And it was a play where it was a post route to one receiver, a comeback to the other, and a drag route by the tight end. And basically, all of our turnovers in the Super Bowl came off that play. 2 from the post from Dwight Smith, and 2 from the comeback from the Dwight Smith, and 2 from Dexter Jackson on the post, and then Derek Brooks took the tight end drag route. So like all of our turnovers came off of that one series of play. And it was crazy because their checks were our checks, because it was the same offense that we ran in Tampa. So we thought like our offense redid our whole playbook for that game, where they changed all of our calls and things because it was the same offense, but they didn't. And it's crazy because I asked Tressman, because he was the offensive coordinator at the time when I ended up playing for the Alouettes, after the fact of like why what happened and why wasn't there changes and things like that. And he was the old adage of a great offense beats a great defense any day. And at that point in time, I think they were a high scoring offense, and we were one of the better defenses in the league. So we actually won that battle though. So.
And I looked at your career. I've looked at it many times, but I wrote it down here today. 01 to 2011 in both leagues, but Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Cleveland, San Francisco, Atlanta, Dallas, Arizona, and then to Canada, where you never left. You had tremendous success, a championship up here, head coaching stint, and you will be again. What was it about the CFL that, A, you wanted to play in and stay in, and then to stay in this country, in this beautiful city?
Well, I think the Canada affords you a lot of more a lot opportunities and things that open up doors for you. And I was fortunate to get in some great situations with some great coaches, even from my NFL career, and even transcended into Canada. Like I was fortunate to get under Chris Jones and understand from him from my first year there, and then was able to transition and come over here to Calgary and fall under with Dave and Huff and understand the other aspects of the game, and then able to venture into coaching. Huff saw something in me that for some reason he thought I could lead men, and he gave me the opportunity, and I'm very grateful for that. I mean, I owe a lot to Huff, and just to learning how to run an organization and the tools of the trade to put in your tool bag.
You mentioned just taking a breather from coaching right now because it's not for everybody. And I know that your players loved you in BC. There's absolutely no doubt. Are you in a position where you will go back on your terms with the right situation? How are you viewing that return to the CFL or NFL?
Well, I mean, it's great when you get phone calls every week, and you get your former players and even your former assistants are like, wanting to pick your brain or wanting to talk to you about certain things and situations that they're experiencing, and players wanting to help you critique their game and their technique and that type of thing. So you're still wanted and you're still loved. But I think for myself, with the sour taste that was left in my mouth in BC, I think it's just more of the fact of you want to get somewhere where you can work with people that you respect, that you trust, but also is going to let you do your job and put you in, and you can help them in the situation to be successful. So I think that is the key for me returning to the coaching aspect and to the sideline. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a head coach or a coordinator. Like I wouldn't mind being a position coach. Football coaching is fun and you enjoy it and that type of thing. So it's not about the titles and things like that. I think it's more imperative about who you're working with and who you're working for.
Well, it tells me a lot about you, a distinct absence of ego there. But I'm interested, did Huff approach you or did you approach Huff? And I ask because Jeremy O'Day, who's running the Saskatchewan Roughriders right now, it was Ken Miller who approached him and said, we're going to move you from the field into the front office. Until that day, he had never considered it. And I think it's worked out pretty well for him. Was it something you'd been thinking about?
Well, I mean, I tried to bring a bunch of the things that I've did on other teams when we got here, as far as like defensive line night and things like that of bonding, because I find that if you can get along with the player off the field, then they trust you more on the field as a teammate and as in that aspect. So you try to have events where the guys can get to know each other on a personal level and not professional on the field. And I think that grows that continuity. But when asked for how I got approached, I actually was in the stretch line. I'll never forget it. It was week 12 or 13 in 2010 and 2011. And Coach Huff I was in the stretch line, and Coach Huff was like, have you ever thought about coaching? And I was like, nope. And he was, I think you'd be a hell of a coach. Why don't you come up and talk to me about it? And then I went in his office and we talked. And then after that, season ended and things fell into place. Jones ended up leaving, I think, because it was the thing of it was going to be working for Jones, but he ended up moving, and it was crazy because I got to see the other side of the coaching aspect quicker than I would normally do, because I really went through 3 defensive coordinators in literally like 4 weeks, because it was Jones there first, then he left and went to Toronto when Scott got the head job, and then Wachowski, he got promoted because he was a linebacker coach. Then he leaves to be the coordinator in Georgia Tech, and then Rick Campbell comes down from Edmonton to be the D coordinator. So that's how I had 3 bosses in 3 weeks.
Life, right? Life. So there's been a lot of talk with my football friends in Calgary about these 1-4 Stampeders here going into Edmonton Saturday, and they're not favored in that game. Not really going over well with a fan base that expects to win and is used to winning, DeVone. What's your read on these Calgary Stampeders here heading into week 6?
Well, it's kind of a touchy subject, because I don't want to throw my compadres and friends under the bus. But I mean, just like Dave said, they're just not playing good football. And when you're not playing good football, what you do is you go back to basics, you simplify things, and you let your technique and things rely that you got to go back to basics. Basic football, no matter what your scheme is or what your game plan is, football is always going to be tackling, catching, and running. It's not going to change. And so the team that tackles the best is going to play the better defense. The reason that's why you fly around and fly to the ball. I mean, they really need to shore up in communication in their back end. That's been one of the glaring things that you've seen, because they're giving up a lot of yards in the air, but that's also translates into getting pressure on the quarterback. So the kind of go hand in hand. And offensively, they, like, even in the Edmonton game, it was a potential right there. They had a couple drops right there in the first half where the game could have got ugly early if they catch those balls. Then you don't even play that second half, plays out totally different. So it's one of those things where it's like the offense needs to help the defense and the defense needs to help the offense, but right now nobody's helping anybody.
Well, the thing at 1-4 in a 14-game season, everything seems to come a lot faster at you. I mean, you've been a head coach in this league. How would it change your approach from 18 games to 14 games in terms of urgency? Or does it change anything at all? You're still going one play at a time, 1 week at a time.
Well, internally it changes you as a coach, because I mean I did go 1-10, so I kind of know about feeling that type of pressure. But for as a team and as your players, you can't change your approach. You can't put the pressure on them. You just have to keep it simple again and do your job. It sounds rhetorical that you just do your job, and if 11 12 guys do their job, then it's a successful play, and then you go on to the next play, and then you go from that to a quarter, you go from quarter to a half, and then you want to do a whole game. They want to see a complete whole game and something to build off of, what you thought you saw when they were when they were at Winnipeg and lost on the last second field goal. But the offense that Winnipeg supplies and that Edmonton supplies are totally two different animals, where Winnipeg relies on, running the ball and that type of thing and some play action, and where Edmonton is just going to air that thing out and then try to give it to Wilder once it's late.
How have you felt about the overall quality of football here coming back off of a layoff? I mean, there has been a few injuries, Bo obviously, but I don't think that's COVID related. But in just terms of to the naked eye, the average fan, I think, feels that it's been pretty good. How about to your trained eye? Have you enjoyed the game and the individual play?
I've enjoyed it. I think it's been great football from the fact of you didn't get a preseason and you didn't get training camp. And I think you only got a training camp. You didn't get any preseason live bullets there. I think that the football has been great, and you can see as teams get those first couple games in and they're starting to click. Like you see Hamilton now, they had some injuries in the beginning, then they got their full front back, and that team is going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough out in the East. But you have a team like Toronto that's talent loaded, but still have to learn how to play together, which a preseason game or two would have helped them. So you can see in their back end and in their secondary and players that need to play together for a while to play off each other. You can see that aspect of it is still in the growth in the infancy stage. And once it gets to week 7 or week 8, I think Toronto will be a totally different team, because they'll be playing and they've been played together and they know how to vibe and rock.
Well, listen, I got to ask you this before I just go one more on the Cowboys, but with the Argonauts, they got Hamilton in there tomorrow night. Ticats are favored by I think it was 3.5. Not that you would care about that, but Eric Rogers, Juwan Brescison, Nick Arbuckle. Let's throw Chucky Hughes in there as former Stampeders. Ryan Dinwiddie. Like, that's a lot for the Stampeders to overcome. How are you on this take that the Stamps have been ravaged by teams pillaging their talent here over the last couple of years, and that may have a role in the 1-4?
Well, I mean, they do have the youngest team at the age of 27. They have the least experienced team as well. And then when you miss preseason games, you're not able to get that again, that continuity that you would want. But I mean, it's a 9-team league, and you're going to lose good players. But what Calgary has done a great job of is they always have some players in the wing that the coaching is developing. And so it's the problem is line that either the talent isn't adding up, or it's too much coaching and it's overcoached on certain points and certain techniques. And so when you lose so many players, because you didn't even name like Tavares Daniels, you didn't even name Shaq Richardson. Like, I mean, it's the Josh Bell's over there as well. Like, so it's a lot of crossover from Toronto. It is Calgary East for sure. but I think that with anything, and Huff actually, and I know Huff very well, I'm sure he's identified the issues and the problems, and they're just trying to check them off the list. Sometimes it's just you can't build in a day. So certain problems are going to have to be fixed with maybe different players, or maybe players in different situations or positions. So you have to figure that out. But Huff's been in the lab for sure, and he's seen more football. He's forgotten more football than we've seen. So I'm sure that they have a game plan and they're going to rally.
Last one for you, Coach. On the big game tonight, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Zach Martin will not play tonight, the right guard for the Cowboys. They're calling him the Patrick Mahomes of offensive linemen. Tell our viewers how that would affect the game, missing a guy that caliber, and how Tampa Bay would expose that if they could.
Well, what you're going to do is you're going to put your best defensive tackle over top of that guard and give him a two-way go and say, let's see if he can hold up. And you're going to do it on the first couple of plays. But what Dallas is going to do, they're going to try to run the ball and keep you on your heels so that they don't get out of them. I think the spread's 8.5. Not that it matters, but I think the spread's 8.5. I don't think that Dallas is going to cover. I mean, it's tough when your quarterback hadn't played either, so your timing is going to be off and that type of thing. So you're going to exploit it. If anything, you're going to shade your nose guard to your center, and then you're going to put a guy over top of that new guard and give him a two-way go and just let him go eat and everybody play off of him. And if you're able to do that, then you're able to affect the quarterback and get some pressure, because now you got Dak getting off the spot.
Right. Well, listen, 8.5 is a lot. It's generous, but I think it could be worse than that. And that's speaking from a Cowboys fan. Coach, I know you'll be watching. I appreciate the time as always. Stay well, and hope to chat with you soon.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
DeVone Claybrooks joining us from here in Calgary. He has gone into COVID protocol as of this morning, and that's why he was unable to join us down here at the Best Western Premier Freeport in Calgary Airport, which, by the way, is the epitome of style, service, and value at Calgary's International Airport, the first upscale premier designation for Best Western in Canada. And with almost 2,000 positive reviews on TripAdvisor, this hotel brings its A game always. For more information and best rates, visit bestwesterncalgary.com. The premier is a thing, and we're learning it here this week as they host us with the RP Show. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of the Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.